Good. Okay, hi. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late. All right, today we're dealing with Jupiter. It's switching gears. Saturn is the anchor. It's so important. It's solid, it's seeable, it's fixable. It sets the backbone of the timings across our lifetime. So Jupiter, when we normally think of Jupiter, people study Jupiter. Oh, Jupiter's opportunity, good luck. When Jupiter touches something, there'll be good luck. There'll be opportunities. Things will be exaggerated. Things will be magnified. And it's generally lucky. But that's not really a safe interpretation of Jupiter for interpreting a chart. It's not really, it takes you off track for the sequence of a person's life. Because you can get in a lot more trouble from a difficult Jupiter than you can from a difficult Saturn. Okay, so if you get in debt, if you borrow too much money, if you put on weight, if you tell too many lies or stories, or if you overextend yourself, there's so many ways that Jupiter causes problems. Okay, if you drink too much, like just liver problems. There's so many things. Jupiter, the expansiveness is not appropriate. In fact, there's many places where expansiveness is dumb or inappropriate or dangerous or can cause significant misguidance. So Jupiter, it's your guiding light. It's your wisdom. It's the way you understand the universe and the world and what's around you. It's the way you understand your matrix, or the way so you can see it's the way you understand, but usually as we're growing up, it's the way we're learning. It's how we're learning, how we're assimilating experience, how we're growing, in how we're comprehending what we're doing and what's happening to us, the results of what we're doing, where it's going, where it's leading to. It's the comprehension that's there. It's really, so Jupiter is the planet of understanding. It's really hard to understand understanding. It depends totally on where your understanding is. Right? So how many times in your life do you think you really had clear understanding, or how many times you were sure you were understanding it right and it wasn't exactly right and it took years to adjust your understanding? Well, are there more understandings or more misunderstandings in life? Who's responsible for misunderstanding, for your misunderstandings? Since they're responsible, that's Saturn. So Jupiter, and it's strange, and it's a puzzle planet. It's the last one you generally figure out on Neptune, next to Neptune, but it's really hard. Of the main planets, you can see it's the last one that clicks in. You say, oh, they were thinking like that. Or you ever said to someone, you realize what you're doing? They don't know what they're doing. They're hurting people. They're doing this. They're like, lots of things we do and we keep doing that we don't understand what we're doing, or its effect on others, or even understanding other people's effects on us. So the development of understanding, the development of a guiding system that can guide us through life, the development of wisdom, it takes time, Saturn, to develop wisdom. So Jupiter gains its wisdom from the experiences you've had. It affects the experiences you're having now, and it's often the cause of the results of the experiences that you're going to have. Wow. It's like if you were going to say, oh, I want to go to Vancouver, and just hop in a car and decide to drive over to Vancouver. Well, that's 3,000 miles. You can probably get on the highway, wing it, and get along, but you're going to run into problems in different areas when you get off the highway or when you do something. So generally, you'll usually get a map to guide you. And you can have a map, not use it well, and still get in trouble, or you can have a map. Now they got GPS, everything has so many other things that can guide us. In guiding systems, but people are a lot more willing to travel in places trusting their GPS. But it's a guidance system, not only of where to go, of all the options of where you can go, of what's the best places to go, what's the best things to do, what's good to do, what's not good to do. That's the real love. What's not good to do? How do we understand what we're doing isn't good or isn't bad? What are the repercussions of our actions? This is Jupiter. So anytime Jupiter's making aspects or doing things, it's triggering off a need to adjust or learn or grow or develop our understanding or fix a misunderstanding or get an assessment of what's going on, fathom it. So this puzzle, what's understanding? What's understanding to a 2-year-old? What's understanding to a 5-year-old, to a 10-year-old, to a 12-year-old, to a 15-year-old, to an 18-year-old, to a 20, to a 30, to a 40-year-old, to a 45-year-old, to a 50, to a 60-year-old, to a 70-year-old? Wow, there's such vast distinctions in understanding. What have you done with your life? How far have you done? How far did you see? Have you lived a really narrow life, or have you really, really expansive life? Or some people have really lived a very expansive life and have nothing to show for it. Some people live a very expansive life, but have been prepared and worked with it and developed it, and it's been able to integrate into something. So the assimilation of experience is Jupiter. Jupiter, like the moon, is digesting food, like Mercury is trying to make sense of our memories. That's, I guess, Mercury making sense of memories, and everything that's happening now is becoming a memory, and Mercury is spinning, trying to be awake to it. Here, Jupiter's trying to assimilate experiences. As experiences are happening, based on what experiences have already happened, what results happened before, how they built up, and where they're going to, against the background of what age you are, what timing you are, what can be accomplished in the scope of where you are, and how much are you living up to that. Depending how well you live up to that, that's how successful or how accomplished or how respected you'll be. I used to love the TV show The Millionaire. It was a black and white TV show in the 50s, 60s, but they gave away $1 million to someone. And the only condition was they couldn't tell anybody where they got it. So all these people, every different story, somebody gets given $1 million, and then they either try and buy their friends or try and get the big things or spend money or help people or do things with it. But because they didn't work for the money, they usually misused it and placed it in a way that was questionable how it got used. So it was an interesting TV series. I'm sure they'd be around on YouTube or Netflix or something. But I like those stories, detective stories. There are 8 million stories in the Naked City that everyone has. This is one of them, and everybody has a story how they run into the law, the limits, the justice, Saturn, how they're doing things, and what the understanding of what's right or wrong. It's Jupiter. The rights and the wrongs. It's such incredible stories. Everybody's got them. Doesn't matter how they live, what they're doing. There's a fascinating story about how Jupiter's evolved or not evolved. Okay, so it's kind of tied to the experiences you've had and are having and how they develop. It's tied up to Mars. It's guiding Mars, but it's working within the age you are and the structure you are of where you are within Saturn. So if you can act Mars in tune with Saturn, you can do things that work on your Saturn cycle and to line up to your Saturn. And if you understand it, that's really wise. It pays off in time. You can do Mars anything, Jupiter, if you're prepared Saturn. So, okay, yeah, we got a lot to cover. So we're going to start with these cycles. Jupiter. Sorry, I gotta get these right here. 1, 2, and down to here. 3. Okay, make them all a little smaller, just a little smaller so you can see them. go. Just move it here, here, and to here. Okay, so this is every planet. When you're trying to study a planet, no matter what planet you'd study, or asteroid or comet or whatever, you have to see the cycle of itself to itself first. That's the standard. Once you see the cycle of self to its, in this case, Jupiter to itself, then we can look at Jupiter to the sun, then we can look at Jupiter to the angles or Jupiter to the other planets. But the main story has got to be there in the Jupiter to itself. Jupiter's a 12-year cycle. Half a Jupiter cycle is 6 years. 1/4 of a Jupiter cycle up to 1 square is 3 years. So we go through 12-year cycles in our life. And every 12 years, there's a new cycle of expansion of understanding that builds up. So we grow up from 0 to 12, growing up at home, going through grade school, and we get to 12. Wow, we can start to expand. We can join clubs or guides or start playing sports. We can start extending out more than just within our family. By 24, we're at a point where we've seen the result. We've seen what our education has become or not become, and we're looking at our options there. We start expanding out socially in the world. So 12, 24, 36, the Jupiter return to 36 is the next one. You have your family, you don't have your family, you have a job, you get a sense where you're, and you're trying to start the next phase, which is your 36 to 48 through your midlife phase. And there's a beginning, there's the different 4 stages within it, but 12, 24, 36, new beginnings happen. 48, new beginnings happen. New understanding, a new comprehension, a new outlook develops in life against which you're measuring what you're doing. Some of this understanding is going to be based on each cycle kind of accumulates in one way and passes on to the next or develops from the next. And so there's a continuity that builds up. And so misunderstandings and understandings accumulate over this period and affect how successful or how good or bad our actions are and what we can accomplish or not accomplish. Saturn. So by 48 to 60, your final accomplishment years in terms of being in the community, working, having a family, watching everything that's going on until you get to 60. And by 60, are you retired or not? Are you healthy or are you not? How have you lived? Has there been repercussions? Do you understand the repercussions of bad health? Or broken bones or bad joints or bad teeth or whatever? By 60, another new beginning comes from 60 to 72. So 60 to 72, my birthday last week, so I'm just 72. And I just put words in for retirement. I don't know if I would retirement, are you retired or you're not? Me, I'm never going to be retired. I work for myself, so pensions aren't the issue. I've got to get enough to keep going. So it needs sort of plan. So it works differently for each person as it goes along, but there is a phase of comprehension from 60 to 72. And from then on, the older you get, the more people die on you, the more you're watching people go, and the more you're trying to understand what's appropriate, what can I do, what can I do, what can I get, how can I fight for inches, who do I know, where am I going? So the senior years from 72 to 84. By 84, if you get to 84, that's when Uranus cycle. You start. It's almost like the second childhood starts. You're extending whatever you got with whatever you got. But some of the most influential people in the world that have profoundly influenced the world have done so in their 80s. In terms of teaching, like Bertrand Russell, there's certain people that have just really had their wisdom together and reached, and we're still alive. Then 96, I put it to the next farther because some people do live between 96 and 108, and they're on their own range. It's hard to say. They got to have an understanding to navigate. They got to have limits of what they understand their limits of what they're doing. They're knowing how to work what they're doing, and they've set things up. So each age is a different puzzle.